So recently, OpenAI released this new feature to GPT-4 where you can attach images to your prompt and then you can ask ChatGPT questions about that image or let it describe the image. They also released DALL-E 3, which you can use to create images, and it's pretty freaking cool. So in today's video, I would like to see if I can use DALL-E 3 and the ChatGPT vision to design a website. Now, I'm specifically interested in the graphical design because, at least for me, I find that to be the most difficult part of web design. Because I can write the HTML and CSS for any site, but to come up with the idea is very difficult. So let's see what we can do with DALL-E and ChatGPT vision. So I am going to start by giving a prompt to the DALL-E model, and I will say, create a website design for a car repair shop. And let's see what it comes up with. Now, usually it creates 4 images that you can then choose from, and you can ask for edits, and you can also regenerate the response if you want more images. So as far as I can tell, this is using ChatGPT to create prompts for the DALL-E model. And here we have actually our web designs. So let's take a look at what these look like. So let's open the first one. And this actually looks pretty cool. So we have this drawing here with the car in the background and this repairman and all kinds of car parts. And we have services offered, and we have some sort of placeholder text there. And we have some icons here, services offered, testimonials, and testimonials again, and contact us. Looks pretty damn good already. So we could just use this one. Let's check the second one. Okay, and this is kind of a vintage looking website. And again, really nice. And we have some icons again, and they're kind of repeating each other. Although I guess the cars are a little bit different style in each of. But let's see the next one. Now, this looks pretty nice. Now, did they get the fingers already correct? Because these image models have been notorious for creating weird looking fingers. But the fingers look kind of okay to me. But what is actually happening here? I'm not quite sure if this is the proper kind of plug for an electric vehicle. But again, really nice. And the last one is kind of interesting, kind of cartoonish, and it's black and white for some reason. Now, I really like the first one, so I might in fact go with this. So I'm going to save this, and let's actually ask it to create a couple more versions like this. So I can say something like, I like the first one, can you create more like it? And perhaps we would like to ask it to create more of a realistic image. So let's do that. But use a more realistic image. Because perhaps we don't want a cartoon character. We want an actual person. And here we have some more designs again. And these are in fact more realistic. And man, that is a pretty cool image in the background. Now, I'm not sure about this text. This kind of doesn't look that good with this background, I don't think. And here again, a really nice picture, but the text kind of doesn't really stand out from there. And here, really nice one. And let's check the final one, which again looks pretty good. But I think I'm going to go with the first version that it created. So this one. We are going to create this website. Now, what would be amazing is that if we could create a new chat and we could select the default version, and then we could upload the image that we got from ChatGPT, and then we could say, create the HTML and CSS for this website. And then it would write the HTML and CSS. But I'm not sure if it can do this, at least not the whole thing. But let's see how much of it can actually create. So at least it says, certainly, here is a basic representation of the provided image in HTML and CSS. Note that this is a simplified version and some additional design features or interactivity may need to be added based on specific requirements. Okay, so we have just a basic HTML, we have a header with a navigation and some links, and it's funny that it writes the links as they appear in the image, because we have move, service, sabang, whatever that means, and mamat. So down here it actually wrote what it was able to read from that. So that is pretty funny. And here it added a placeholder for the illustration. Okay. And here we have the wheel icon, the testimonial icon, and the contact icon. Okay. And here is our style. So let's wait for it to finish this, and then let's copy this into VS Code and see what it actually looks like. All right, we have now the CSS here, and we have the HTML here. So let's copy this code, and let's create a file. And let's call it index.html, and paste it in here. So it actually dropped the extra testimonials here. But this is actually the layout of this website. So I think we can work with this. Now, I wonder how accurately the ChatGPT Vision knows the layout of the image. So what if we create a new chat and we again upload that file and we say, can you create Python code that would extract, crop all the different parts of this layout into separate images. Now this would be pretty cool, but I'm not quite sure if it can do this, because I once asked it, I took a picture of like a children's book and it had like different colored animals in it. And I uploaded that image and then I asked, what is the purple animal in this photo? And it said, oh, it's a donkey. And that was correct. Then I asked it, what is the X and Y position of the donkey's nose? And it answered something like, based on the resolution of the image, it would be this spot. But then I asked, what is the resolution of the image? Then it said, oh, I don't know. I don't know where the nose is. I was just lying to you. But let's see. Certainly, to extract different parts of the layout into separate images, we can utilize the OpenCV library in Python. Here's an example. Now, if it can do this, then I will be pretty impressed. But I'm pretty sure it cannot do it. Okay, load it with CV2. Define bounding boxes of different parts. These are just sample coordinates. Okay, so it's probably not going to use the correct ones. Okay, but it actually adds header and mechanic and services offered and contact us and then add more bounding boxes as needed. Okay, so we are probably not going to do this, but we could try what this code actually does. So if I copy this code and let's create a crop.py and paste this in here, and then copy our website design. It's in downloads and the name was DALL-E something, and let's copy it into layout.jpg. Actually it's a PNG, but let's call it JPEG, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then we can change this to layout.jpg and we can run python3 crop.py, and it did something. And here is the header of the website, which kind of is the header of the website, okay? And contact us is almost at the correct position. And mechanic is this, and services offered is this. So it didn't quite get it correct, but it wrote code that actually crops an image. So that was pretty cool. So let's actually delete and let's crop the different parts ourselves. So let's go to photo P and let's open our image. So what do we need from here? We need this main image and then these different icons from here. So not that many things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just delete everything that we don't need. So all of this stuff and this, and then I'm going to copy this thing and let's create a new file, paste it here, and let's crop this. And let's save this as mechanic.jpg. And then let's take all of these icons from here. So they're going to be something like this. And let's save this. Wrench.jpg. And let's take our testimonials. And in fact, I realized that we have the same images here too on the sides. So maybe we could create more icons. So let's first copy all of these images and let's put them into the project. Let's create a folder called img and let's put them in here. So now we could use those. So where should we use them? So here we have the illustration. So let's try and add the illustration here. So do we use illustration here? We do not. So let's see. It should be in the hero. So let's do illustration. And let's do background image is URL images/mechanic.jpg. And let's do background repeat none. And let's do background size contain. And let's refresh this page. And nothing, of course, happens because this is just a div here and it doesn't have any size. So I think what would make more sense is if we remove the illustration and we just put this into the hero section. So then if we refresh, then we in fact do not have any background for some reason. And in fact, the illustration was taking space in the hero section. So let's keep that there. But this should not have a slash. That is the problem. So if I refresh, then now we have an image here. But it is repeating for some reason, because this should be no repeat. And I want to have it background position to be 0%, 100%. Does that mean it's at the bottom? I think it means that. But now it's here on the side. So I think we have to change the aspect ratio of the hero. So I think there's a new CSS thingamajig for aspect ratio. And I'm not quite sure how to use this. Maybe I put like 120 divided by 180. And if I refresh, then it actually changes it. So now we can see the whole thing. Now I'm very zoomed in my browser, so everything is really big. And that actually doesn't change when I zoom, which is interesting. But let's change the aspect ratio a little bit. So what is the actual size of this image? 1382 times 631. So let's use that. 1382631. So if we now refresh, then it's not still quite right. So let me change this. What if I put 500 here? Now it's higher. Okay, that looks pretty good. And it should now work properly, but it does not. So I'm going to make it an image. Let's put the actual illustration here. img src is image/mechanic. And I am going to then remove this stuff from here. And let's do here, illustration image is with 100%. And if we now refresh, then it looks like that. But I don't want these to be side by side. So this should be actually in the background. So let's do that. I will just add a class for this mechanic. And I'm going to move it outside of this thing. And I will add a class mechanic. And if I now refresh, then now this is the whole width of the website, which is good. But then I want this text to be on top of the image. So what I will do is I am going to wrap this inside of something. Div class hero wrap. And I'm going to move all of these in here. And I will call this illustration spacer. And then I'm going to say that the hero has a position relative and the hero wrap will have a position absolute. Top 0, left 0. And width 100%. So now if I refresh, then everything is here. Because this actually has to be display flex. That one doesn't have to be display flex. And let's move this down here as well. So now if we refresh, then it is there. That is nice. And if we resize this, then the image is the correct size. But what is that margin here? Let's take a look. So the hero has a padding. I don't want any padding. I will set it to 0. So let's do that. Padding 0. So I will not set any padding. And now it looks like this. Now I want to get rid of these margins from here, right? Because in the original image, we don't have that kind of stuff there. So let's set just this boilerplate, HTML body with 100% height, 100% margin, 0, padding 0. And if we then refresh, then it looks like this. Great. Now, in the original layout, there's some space in the sides. Now, you might not want space in the sides when you have zoomed in this much as I have, but let's put some space in there anyway. So, do we have some sort of wrapper here? We don't have a wrapper, so I will add a div class wrapper. And I will put all of this inside of the wrapper. And then what I can do is I can add the wrapper here. So the wrapper will have a width of 100%, but a max width of like 900 pixels. Now, really you would like it to be a little bit bigger, but since I have this very weird zoomed in view because I'm making a video, then I will make it a little bit different. So 850 pixels looks pretty nice. And I will make it margin 0 also. So then it will be in the middle. And I'm going to make the background white. So I will actually not have a background because it is white automatically. Great, we are making progress. So let's take a look at this again. And let's style the footer as well. So right now the footer looks like this. So what we want to do is we want to actually move the services section outside of this wrapper and put it in another wrapper. Or in fact, let's do this, and then we want to have a wrapper inside of this. So this is the footer. We might call it footer. And let's add another class, div class wrapper, and we will move this stuff inside the wrapper. And if we now refresh, then it looks weird because we have to change the wrapper to a flex box. So where do we have services? So we do not actually want any of these. Let's just make it services wrapper to have display flex and refresh. Then now it looks like this again. And what do we want? We want a background that is that kind of blue. So let's take the color from here and let's set the actual services to have a background of this color. And let's refresh. And now we have that color, but these are white. While they're white, I will remove the background color from the service. And now it looks like this. But the color should be white. So let's set it to white. Services, color, white. And then it will look like this. So we are getting pretty close already. So I want to get rid of this little margin there. So let's see where that margin comes from. Actually, it comes from the wrapper. And here, maybe it's in my image. Maybe I cropped it wrong. Okay, actually this is the image, but then there is some margin under that for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it comes from some white space. So I have the image here. So does this white space do something weird? If I remove that and I refresh, it's still the same. What if I remove it from here and here? Is it still the same? Yes. So where does that come from? We have the wrapper, which includes that part. We have header, we have main, and main includes that part. And section includes that part. But image does not. So that is weird. Where does that come from? I might just hack it away for now. So I'm going to just say mechanic margin bottom 5 pixels. Sorry, minus 5 pixels. And if we then refresh, then it disappears, but that was a little bit too much. So maybe it's just 4 pixels. Okay, now it looks nice. Now our menu does not look like it should. So let's take a screenshot of this thing and then let's send that to ChatGPT. And actually I will continue this one. If I still have the messages here, they disappeared somewhere. Okay, here I have this. So I'm going to say, I will add first of all that screenshot. And I'll say, I did some modifications to the code and got the website looking like this. The menu, however, does not look like in the image. Can you make it look like the original? Let's see if it can style our menu. Certainly I can. Okay. I will provide you with the necessary HTML and CSS modifications. Okay, so we added some nav item classes. I don't believe we had those previously. So we only had the links, okay? And we set the nav bar display flex and nav item, okay. Now, it didn't use a list anymore, so this is not really proper web design because this is a list. It should be a list when it's a list for SEO, but we are going to do it this way. I guess it doesn't matter. And then we have some CSS. So let's copy this and let's put it somewhere. Do we have something here? We have nav.ul and nav.a. So I'll remove these because we don't have those anymore. And let's see what this looks like now. Okay, we have some animation here. Actually, how did it do that animation with CSS? I have never done this. What? That's pretty cool. But that definitely does not look like the original. So it should look like that. So we have to do this by ourselves. So let's try and do that. So we are going to see first how it did that animation. What is it animating? Oh, it has a before with content and width is 0, and that is interesting. I didn't know you could animate before elements. That is pretty awesome. But I'm not going to actually do this. I will just remove these changes and I will use the original with the actual list. So this one. And I will just move them to the right. So how do we do that? Well, justify content. We shouldn't have this. Wait a minute. I want them to be on the right. What options do we have? Last baseline. What does that mean? They are here. That maybe didn't do anything. Yeah, that is not a valid value for this. So let's just add in the A element some margin. Let's say margin 5 pixels. And let's do background is something and border radius is 10 pixels. And let's check the actual background color. So the background should be this one. So let's copy, or that is just a hover. Okay. So let's copy this and let's set this to white and let's do nav.a hover is going to be color background. And the header should not have any background, so I'll remove that. And let's see what this looks like. Okay, they are here, but they are all white. So the color should be this in the actual link. And here it should be white. And we should have some sort of padding, 7 pixels. And if we refresh, then now it looks like this, which is kind of terrible. And I might have to say a link to actually make it work. No, wait a minute. This should be color. Wait a minute, what am I doing? Color is that. And now it looks like this. So this is pretty similar to what it should be looking like. But it should be on the right. So how do I change that in Flexbox? UL is a flex. Align items is there like right. End. Nope. This should be probably with 100% or not. No, when it's flex, it should flex to the end. Why does it not work? Align items. Align content end. Flex end. Flex end. No, what? How do I align the items? Let's check this thing. Justify content. Flex end. Okay. So here, justify content flex end. So now if we refresh, now it's there. Great. And it looks similar, but the font should be smaller and bold. So let's say font size 0.9 EM and font weight bold and refresh. Okay, that looks nice. But we should have a little bit of a different kind of padding and more border radius. So let's do 15 pixels radius. Okay, and then let's do padding 7 or 8 and 12 pixels. So now it looks like this, which looks pretty cool. And let's add our images to the bottom, to the footer. So we should have here images / wrench and images / tire. And I will use the wrench again because that's how it was in the model. Okay, but they are very small. So that is kind of a problem. But let's do class icon, and then we can just make it bigger. And perhaps we can ask ChatGPT to make bigger images. So let's just add here. Oh, actually, it's setting it here. So let's call this icon, and let's set it to a little bit bigger. Let's do 90 pixels width and height, and that looks nice. And how is this? This is centered, so let's make it centered. Text align center, and now it looks like this. And yeah, that looks pretty good. We should have some sort of dotted line in the middle. So how should we do that? Probably service should have border right 1 pixel dotted or dashed white. And now it looks like that, but it should look like this. So do we have some padding? We do have padding. So I will say padding 0 and 20, so that we don't have a padding at the top. And then I will add some padding to the actual services, adding 20 pixels. So now it looks like that. And I'm going to make this like RGBA 255, 255, 255, and 0.6. So now it looks like that. Perhaps 0.5. So that is kind of good. But actually, the icons should go over this. So how can we do that? Well, we could just say that service icon, or just service, will have, actually, yeah, service icon will have margin top minus 40 pixels. So then it will go up there. And can I add like a wrapper here? Can I say div class service wrap? And I'll move all of these in here. So I'll do the same thing here and here. And in fact, I will set the service wrap to have margin top minus 40 and margin bottom minus 40. Is that possible? Let's see. It in fact is possible. So then what I can do is I can add some padding here. So I want to have like 40 pixels of padding at the top and the bottom, and then 20 pixels on the left and right, which ruins my effect for some reason. Why is that? Sorry, not service, services. So let's do 40 pixels, 20 pixels, and refresh. And we need even more, and that's actually too much. I'll say just minus 30 and minus 30. And this is going to be 60, and refresh. Then now it looks like this, which looks pretty similar to what we have here. So that's good. I'll still change these a little bit. I will make this 40 and I will make this 20 and 20 and refresh. Now that looks nice. What else do we need? One of these, of course, should be like active. So let's make it active so that we can see. Let's add class active, and I will just set it to the same as the hover. So nav a hover is this, and nav a active is that. And refresh. And now one of them is active all the time. And what else do we need? We need this part. So I don't know why there's contact us 2 times here, but let's make this the same style as the navigation buttons. So what is the style here? It's just a button. So I'm presuming that we have a button style here. So let's make it the same background as the link over here. So button will have that color and border radius will be 15 pixels. And let's refresh. That looks pretty nice. What is that over there? Is that part of the image or what? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that's fine. And let's take the color of this heading. And I'm just going to say, well, here's H1. So color is going to be this. And I think I'll just make it like H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 is going to be that. Is there a style in CSS for all of the H's? Can I do like H star or something like this? Not sure. But if I refresh, then now it's a different color. And the text is this color. So let's try to copy that. And let's say just info color is that. And refresh, then that is the color, which looks like this. Now I want the illustration spacer to be a different size. So I probably want to have like a percentage width for it. So let's find our hero, and we have hero wrap and illustration spacer. And I'll say width 85%, which is a bit too much. And then I'll change it to 84, 3, 2, 1, 80, 78, 75, 76. Okay, that looks pretty good. So presumably now it is a little bit responsive as well, but not really, not very well. But okay, let's do that first. So do I have anything here? I don't have the illustration. So let's say illustration spacer with 85% and refresh. Sorry, it wasn't 85. What did I put? 76 and refresh. So that looks nice. But these are now the wrong color, so I have to make them white. So let's say that services H1 and what it is actually for H2. What is it? Yeah, H2. Let's do H2 is color FFF and refresh. Okay. So what else do we need? We need some fonts. That's looking exactly like this one. I don't know what this button is. There's no text on this. And maybe I understood wrongly this menu. Maybe this is like a contact us. It's not part of the menu. But I think it looks nice the way I did it, so I will leave it like that. So let's pick some fonts for this website. And I think that the texts down there should be a little bit smaller. So let's say H2 is font size 1.7 EM and refresh. That's actually bigger. Wait a minute. I have to set here body font size 1 EM and then I have to set 1.3 and actually it's even smaller, 1.2. Okay, that looks nice, but the text should be even smaller. So let's just add services font size 0.9 EM and I want it to be maybe even smaller, 85. Okay, that looks nice. So let's get some fonts for this website. And I will make this a little bit wider. I think there's too much space now. So I'm going to say that it is in fact that 900 and refresh. And that looks pretty nice. Now, we should have a bigger screen, then it would look even nicer. But I have to have a zoomed in screen so that you can actually see what I'm doing, especially if you're watching on a phone. But this is what it looks like. Now, when it's bigger, it could be like even wider than this. And in fact, we should move down the menu because it is kind of on the same level as his hair. So let's add to the hero margin top minus 30 pixels. So it should come up like this, but the menu should be on top. And I want even more, so 50 pixels. And maybe even more, 60 pixels, and I will say Z index is 1, and the nav or header will have Z index of 2. So I have to also say position relative. And if I now refresh, then now it is on top, but I want to move this text over here down. So let's do that. I will in fact also put it to 55 pixels, and the hero should have like padding top 55 pixels. So now it looks like this again for some reason. So let's not put it into the hero. Let's put it into what? Hero wrap. Let's do hero wrap padding top 55 pixels. Okay, that looks nice. And there should be a little bit more space up there. So let's add some space there. So let's do header margin top 30 pixels. And that's a bit too much, so let's do just 20 pixels. That looks pretty good. And it would be nice if the footer would stretch down all the way. So let's do that. I think we can use like flexbox here. So we have the wrapper here and we have the services. So can we just set the body to flexbox? Display flex. And what does that do? It puts them side by side. So flex direction row or column. Why did they do it like this? It's so counterintuitive. Column. It flexes in the column direction. So we will have rows of elements. Very weird. But it did not in fact work for some reason. We have a footer which is inside of the body and it is called services and we have a background. So why does it not work? Body is flex. Do I need to change something? I want to like stretch it, justify content. If I do that, then it moves down there, but I want it to stretch. There's some kind of stretch. Now it puts everything down there, which is not horrible, but I want it to be something like, just if I go on the normal, can I just set services to flex 1? And if I then refresh, now it flexes. And services should be also display flex and justify content center. And I need to add a wrapper in there. I have a wrapper there already. So if I refresh, then it doesn't work for some reason because it flexes the wrapper or something. Wrapper is flex as well. Okay. How do I make it so that it's in the middle? I want it to be align content center. No, this doesn't do anything. Flex wrap doesn't do anything. Wait, that's it. Flex. Okay, so yeah, flex direction column. I again forgot. Flex direction column. So now it is going to look like this. So this is in the middle now if it takes more space down here. So now it looks pretty nice. So at 100% it looks like this now because I'm zoomed in. But if I zoom out a little bit, then it will look like this. And if you're on a larger screen, then there will be this more space down here. So that looks pretty good. So let's do one more thing before we wrap up this video. And let's add some different fonts. So they have some kind of a little bit like a curly font there. So let's go to fonts.google.com and let's pick some font. So what is that font actually? Well, it's probably some made up font by ChatGPT. So what should we use? Noto Sans. Let's see if we use Noto Sans. How do you say that? No, I don't want to download it. What is it doing? I want to use it. How do I use it? Here, I will add light and I will add regular and click here. And then we are going to copy this code and paste it in here. And for some reason I got Roboto as well, so I will remove that. And I'll just set here body, font family, Noto Sans. And if I refresh, then we have Noto Sans, which doesn't look amazing, but you know, you can pick whatever font you want. And I can actually see some line here again. So let me find my -5 or -4 pixels and make it -5 pixels and refresh. Then now it looks nice. So this is the final product of today's video. So design by ChatGPT, by DALL-E, and coding by me, and a little bit of ChatGPT. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of this project? Do you think the website looks good? Did I do a good job, and did ChatGPT do a good job? Who did the better job? I think ChatGPT did the better job in this case, or DALL-E. But ChatGPT's coding is not that good at the moment. Let me know in the comments, what should I create next with DALL-E or ChatGPT? Or how should I continue this project? Maybe I could ask ChatGPT to create a WordPress theme out of this, and then we could install this into WordPress. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.